I've played many mecha games in my time, from Armored Core to Zone of the Enders and many others in between, but I've never seen anything quite like Mobile Suit Gundam ExVS. Hey guys, today we're going to be checking out a pretty complex mecha fighting game. This is the first entry in the Mobile Suit Gundam ExVS series. Now there is a shiny new ExVS game on the PS4 store with full English text and tons of new mechs, but today we're just going to be focusing on the PS3 port of the original. This is Mobile Suit Gundam ExVS. This video will serve as a brief introduction to the series. The newer games make some tweaks, but the core gameplay remains mostly the same. Also, I'm not recording on original hardware, so it may look a little bit different live. Anyways, originally released in arcades back in 2010, Gundam ExVS is a 2v2 3D arena fighter, and instead of stocks or lives, you have a team gauge at the top. And when one of your mechs dies, the team gauge is reduced. Whichever team empties the other's gauge first wins. But when you select your mech, you'll notice they all have different power values. This value is subtracted from your team's life gauge when they're killed. So more powerful mechs may mean they survive longer, but also when they're killed, they'll take away more from your team's life gauge. And this small thing really affects gameplay strategy. Do you protect your weaker teammate, or do they cover you to keep from paying the heavy respawn cost? The weapons you have to work with will depend on your mech, but there are a few universal actions such as your primary weapon and your melee attack. You'll have a few different melee attacks, and you can do these by pressing triangle, and the effect will change based on the direction you hold or if you're dashing. You'll have a primary weapon that can be used with square, and any other weapons and abilities will each have separate buttons. Each weapon will have an ammo counter on the side, and they go on cooldown when they run out. If you see the small gauge by your weapon, that means you can hold the button to charge it up to do a special attack. Oftentimes these charge attacks are unique actions and not simply a higher damage version of the main attack. Movement is a huge part of this game. Aside from jumping, you can also fly, dash, and glide around the map using energy from your boost gauge. Because of the crazy movement options, there's no single block button. Instead, you can use the command to input back forward to enter a defensive state. This will block all damage for a short time at the cost of your boost gauge, but it keeps you locked in place. So you'll often have to consider if an attack's worth blocking, or if it's better to try to dodge it manually. The fast movement and emphasis on mobility and dodging really help this game stand out for me, but if you're just jumping in for the first time, you may notice some of the projectiles just seem a little slow, and your shots keep missing. Well, that may be because you're out of range. Wait until the reticle turns red before you start firing. And you may need to experiment a little bit to see how best to use each weapon. Moving back to the boost gauge, the final thing it can be used for is boost canceling. You can cancel just about any action by simply boosting. So you could use those slower projectiles to help cover your approach, or you could cancel a slower projectile into a faster one. You can even cancel melee attacks into other melee attacks to combo your opponent. And the 2v2 nature of the combat helps add an extra layer of strategy, as target priority will become important. You'll also want to keep an eye on your teammate and keep them out of trouble. And finally, when your EX meter is at 50% or more, you can use your Extreme Burst. This will power up your mechs, and you can even use it to break out of combos. Additionally, a few mechs will even have a burst attack that you can use to end your Extreme Burst with style. So yeah, this is not a simple button masher. The gameplay has a lot of cool mechanics that can definitely see why this series is so popular in Japanese arcades. I'm pretty bad at it, but it's clear the game offers a lot of options for creative play. I'm playing the PS3 port of the first game right now and I've been having a blast. This game never made it to the US and it's all in Japanese, but the menus are fairly easy to navigate. And the game goes for pretty cheap on eBay, so if you decide to pick it up, I think you'll get your money's worth. As for gameplay modes, there's no story, but free play and arcade can both be played split screen co-op. Free play lets you customize the rules to your liking, so you can set up a 1v1 or even training mode. Arcade mode is also a lot of fun. It has various difficulty routes to go through and a fun boss at the end. But I think I spent most of my time in mission mode. This mode presents you with a few maps full of unlockable missions of varying difficulties. Some missions will require a specific Gundam, and the mission objectives can vary a bit. For example, some will have you fighting a swarm of smaller mechs, and some will have you shooting down drones or rockets while under fire, and there are also some standard fights as well, and even a few boss encounters with giant mechs, with some pretty crazy attacks. And while the mission parameters are in Japanese, it's generally pretty easy to figure out what your objective is. And completing these missions earns you points that you can use to upgrade your mech's stats. These stats are exclusive to the mission mode, however, so you can't use your super buff Mecha in multiplayer. Speaking of multiplayer, it's really a shame this mission mode doesn't have co-op. This game's split-screen co-op runs at 30 FPS, half the normal frame rate, and cuts the field of view significantly, but it still would have been a great addition. This game was my first introduction to the Gundam franchise. I've never seen any of the shows or played any of the games, but I still had a ton of fun, and I think you will too. The newest entry is probably the most accessible as it's on PS4 with English menus, but if you just want to taste the gameplay first, I'd say give Extreme Versus a try. It offers tons of mechs to pilot, and a bunch of missions to complete. And once I finish all these missions, I'll be trying out the game's sequel, Gundam Extreme Versus Full Boost. Hopefully once I finish these two titles, I'll be ready to play the PS4 version online. Okay, maybe not. But I'm still having fun playing through these games' single-player content. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you want to learn more about ExVS series, I'll leave a link to the dedicated subreddit in the description. Anyway, see you all later. Bye.